Hi Joey, how you doing? I'm doing great so far. How have you been? I'm having a great day for Frank.
Hi, Frankie. I'm also doing great so far. Good to hear from you, buddy.
Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning! I'll say hi Joey only.
Hi, Joey only.
I'm Frankie McDonald. You're listening to Comedeorological weather report every Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Joey Only's a nice guy. He fights fires in Wales, British Columbia. And I'm on Joey Only Show every Thursday night. Comedian plus meteorology, Caribou Weather Dude. On his YouTube channel, podcast it's on CFUR 88.7 FM radio station in Prince George and CKUW 95.9 FM radio station in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Joey Only's a really nice guy. He fights fires. He does weather reports. Comedian plus meteorology. Joey Only's a really, really nice guy. He fights fires and he lives in Wales, British Columbia. I'm on his podcast every Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Best luck here, Frank. There's a Joey Only show. Say hi, Joey Only.
Hi, Joey only.
Well, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather we got. Wait a minute. Well, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather, whether or not. There it is.
Good morning, Prince George, and good afternoon, Winnipeg. This is the Comedeorological Report. Comedy plus meteorology equals Comedeorology. I'm your host, Joey Only, here in Wells, British Columbia. This is your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. But it's not so bad right now, actually. It's been pretty warm, and I think the theme of this week is it's the January Thaw episode. I got a whole panel of cometeorologists. I'll introduce you to them in a second. You're hearing us on CFUR 88.7 FM in Prince George Saturday mornings, and you're hearing us on CKUW 95.9 FM in Winnipeg. And I'm trying to push CFBX Kamloops to take us on. So if you happen to live in Kamloops, feel free to send a message or a phone call that station and be like, get the Comedeorological Report on. I have pitched my show and not heard back from them yet. But we want CFBX. In fact, we want everybody, right? Frankie McDonald. We got this week with us, of course, Frankie McDonald out in Sydney, Nova Scotia, the world famous weatherman himself. And we got Brandon Houck from Real Country Radio in Brooks, Alberta, 105.7 FM. And he's doing radio for about 10 different radio stations, sometimes as many as 20. And sometimes he's on our radio show at the same time as he's making radio, which is broadcasting to several radio stations. And then because we broadcast this, it's like Brandon he's the number one radio station guy on this panel.
That'd be because I'm on the radio right now. And I tend to get sexier by the time I go on the air. So that's how it works here.
And we have guests this week, Murray Bush and Marianne Abbs. They're very old friends of mine who are working on a project for BC Transit to be intercommunity. We'll talk about that soon. Hilding Donaldson out in Grassy Plains, our weatherman out there, and Imogen Bailey down in Victoria. But first, everybody, Frankie McDonald.
Frankie, the weatherman.
How's it going so far?
It's going great so far. It's supposed to get lots of rain this weekend across Nova Scotia. New Brunswick's going to get a lot of snow. Northern New Brunswick and Bonifactor, Quebec, and low pressure system is going to stall. It's going to snow for the next few days in Quebec and parts of New Brunswick. It's going to rain for the next few days in Nova Scotia. That's going to cause real cold air going all the way down Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Vancouver, British Columbia. It's going to rain for the next few weeks. Los Angeles is getting so much rain on Saturday. Severe weather going on in southeastern United States lately. There's a possible tropical cyclone aiming towards Madagascar, Africa next week as well. There's a lot of thunderstorms and rain in Central America, South America, like Brazil, Venezuela, Peru, and all these places, and Ecuador, and all these places, and Bolivia, and a lot of places in the tropical region of South America. And England's getting lots of wind and rain and things like this, in France and Spain. And up around Norway, there's lots of rain and snow showers in Finland, Sweden. Even Russia's getting really cold weather. Moscow, Russia's getting really cold weather this week. Driving all the cold air all the way down to Albania, Greece, and all these places. And the places like Siberia is so cold there right now. It was super cold in Siberia, Russia. And Japan's getting lots of snow and rain, things like this. Oh my God, in Japan, cold air and warm air fighting each other in Japan. And South Korea as well. And Australia's getting lots of hot weather and got cold weather heading for parts of New Zealand. It's unusual for them in Southern Hemisphere summer. In South Africa, it's getting really hot weather, lots of thunderstorms, rain in Uganda, Congo, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, and all these places. In Africa, and it's really dry in Namibia, Africa as well. In southwestern Africa, it was really dry in Namibia, Africa as well. And it's cold outside 24 hours a day in Antarctica. It's dark 24 hours a day up in the Arctic. It's light 24 hours a day in Antarctica. The first sunset takes place in Antarctica. That'll be the end of January. In Antarctica, it's cold outside in Antarctica. And it's sometime in February. And the first sunrise up above the Arctic Circle, that's in the end of January.
Frankie, you're on fire this week. Nice. Nicely done. How's the weather?
Montreal getting a lot of snow tonight and tomorrow as well.
How's the weather in outer space this week, Frankie?
Oh my God, the aliens are here!
What's that noise?
Sounds like a flying saucer is coming. There's dozens of aliens coming from planet Sedna, Eris, Ceres, and Quawar. This is Frankie McDowell, my own TV station live from Sydney, Nova Scotia. Green Comet E3 CTF is headed towards the Earth on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. It's going to head towards the Earth. It's going to bypass the Earth 26.4 million miles away, which is 42.5 million kilometers away. And the asteroid, it's a green comet headed towards the Earth on February 2nd, 2023. It's going to bypass the Earth. If it's a clear sky in your area, make sure you have your telescopes and binoculars ready. Look for the comet up in the sky. Have your telescopes and binoculars ready, because the green comet's headed towards the Earth. And the green comet 2022 E3 ZTF headed towards the Earth. It's going to bypass planet Earth altogether. If it's a clear sky in your area, look for the green comet up in the sky on February 2nd, 2023, because the green comet headed towards the Earth on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Be prepared, because the green comet's headed towards the Earth, but it's not going to hit the Earth. It's going to bypass the Earth altogether as well. If you have anybody living on Earth, be prepared for green comet. Be safe. Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning! There's a green comet heading towards the Earth on February 2nd, 2023. Then after that day, the comet will return to Earth 50,000 years from now.
How's the weather on Mars this week, Frankie?
A lot of sandstorms and giant, really, really bad sandstorms going on Mars. And Saturn's moon Titan's like liquid nitrogen, like rain up at Saturn's moon Titan in certain areas.
Right. What video did you make this week, Frank?
I did a video for Los Angeles, California. Heavy rain headed for Los Angeles for Saturday. Major snowstorm in Montreal on Friday as well. This is Frankie McDowell, my own TV station live in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Heavy rains headed towards Los Angeles, California on Saturday, January 14, 2023. It's going to bring up to 30 plus millimeters of rain in greater Los Angeles, California. It's going to bring so much rain in Los Angeles and its surrounding areas, including Long Beach, California, Burbank, California, Hollywood, California, Anaheim, California, Corona, California, Victorville, California, and Orange County, California. It's going to bring a lot of rain. It's going to bring so much rain, there'll be a lot of puddles in the streets, roads, highways, and freeways, and interstate highways will be wet. It's going to bring a lot of rain, and Saturday will not be a good day to head to the beach to go swimming. In greater Los Angeles and its surrounding areas, including Long Beach, California, it's going to bring a lot of rain in Los Angeles, California, and its surrounding areas. It's going to bring lots of downforce. There's a big, huge storm off the coast of California. It's going to bring a lot of rain in Los Angeles and its surrounding areas on Saturday, January 14, 2023, in greater Los Angeles and its surrounding areas as well. People in Los Angeles, California, be prepared. Have your road boots, raincoats, and rainsuits ready when you go outside. Wear your rain gear, wear your road boots, wear your raincoats to keep it dry. Don't walk through the puddles or fall into puddles when you go for a walk. When you drive a car, don't drive a car through the puddles either. Saturday will not be a good day to head to the beach to go swimming. It's going to bring a lot of rain in greater Los Angeles and its surrounding areas on Saturday, January 14, 2023. If you have anybody living in Los Angeles, California, be prepared for heavy rain on Saturday, January 14, 2023. Take care, stay safe. Don't get caught in heavy rain. Stay dry, be safe.
And talk to us about your new bobbleheads there, Frankie Mac.
Cowboy Frank Dell bobblehead. The render's not yet released. That means the render is coming soon. People can pre-order it right now on Cowboy Frank Dell bobblehead. It's going to be ready in May.
Who on the Comedeorological panel has a question for Frankie Mac?
Yes.
How long would it take a full-grown megalodon shark to freeze on Mars?
That means the sharks can freeze to death up there. They might have had sharks on Mars once upon a time.
I would think the coldest place in our solar system might be, I'm guessing, like Pluto or some ice place.
Are you saying
Ice
Pluto because
planet.
it's farthest away from us?
Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are gas planets.
Well,
Yes,
Uranus is pretty chilly. Is it going to snow in Victoria?
Yes, sometime in the end of January, there's a possible snow in Los Angeles.
Oh, Victoria and Los Angeles are possibly getting snow.
Yes.
Thanks, Frankie. Thanks for throwing snow at us.
Marianne Abs?
Hey, Frankie, I have a friend in Patagonia. What's it like there?
Right now, and it's cold outside Nova Scotia right now. It's getting colder in Southern California. Even Baja California is getting rain this weekend as well in Mexico.
Hey, Murray Bush.
Okay, I got a question for you, Frankie. It's been raining here for a very long time. I looked at the forecast before the show. Rain, 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 rain. When's it going to stop raining here
In
on Vancouver Island?
That means it's rainy season right now. It's going to continue rainy next month as well in March. Then again, into dry season in spring. The last spring, they didn't have a very good spring. So much rain in Vancouver Island, Vancouver last spring.
That's true. And seeing as we just had Marianne Abs and Murray Bush ask questions, we're going to go to them for a second before we get to Brandon with Western Canada weather. And I want you to talk to us briefly about your idea for intercommunity transit in British Columbia. I mean, and looking at how bad the weather can be, it's nice to be able to get on a bus sometimes and not hitchhike from town to town.
We're a citizens group, basically, people all across the province. We've been trying to get more people all the time for the last couple of years. Lots of seniors are interested, students are interested, people in remote Aboriginal communities are interested. And a lot of this is because in 2018, Greyhound bus left BC. So they left virtually all the routes except the ones that BC Transit does. And that's been filled in with local firms and firms from Alberta, private bus companies, some of which can survive and some of which have been having a lot of trouble surviving. We don't have a reliable province-wide bus system that can accommodate every community, that anyone in BC can get to where they're going by bus, which is what we'd like to see.
Marianne, you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to add, lots of communities are left stranded without any bus service at all right now. Like you can't, like I'm actually worried about parts of the Fraser Canyon because Adventure Charters has dropped its contract and eBus is going to be going through Kamloops instead of through the canyon. There's been cuts in bus service on the island here. One of the companies has stopped operating for 4 months. So we need like a public system that's like community to community that doesn't leave anyone behind. And that's really important. Lots of people need to travel and don't want to hitchhike, don't want to drive when it's snowy or dangerous. So yeah, we're trying to get the BC government to listen and put some of that surplus that it has into like proper public transit for people.
So we'll come back to you a little bit in the episode and we'll have a much deeper conversation on the topic, but that's Marianne Abs and Murray Bush. And I think it's a great idea getting bus transportation between cities in this province. Brandon Hauk, down there in Brooks, Alberta, you still have bus transportation going. You're right up there on Highway 1. So how is the weather down there? It's pretty mild right now, isn't it? It's mild everywhere. You're expecting a Chinook real soon. And
Yes.
yeah, let us know what's going on for Western Canada right now. Is there anything actually interesting besides all the atmospheric river down in Vancouver Island, for example?
That means atmospheric rivers bring a lot of rain in California. All those moisture in that atmospheric river come all the way from Indonesia because Indonesia's getting really, really, really bad rainy season this year.
Yes, that atmospheric river. I believe parts of Vancouver Island by the end of this week can probably pick up anywhere from 100 to 200 millimeters of rain, which could lead to some flood problems and mudslides. So we'll be watching that very closely with the significant rainfall there. So for us here in Alberta, the last couple of days, we've been in this stagnant flow. So we've kind of been, some of us have been kind of cool. So for like areas from Medicine Hat through Edmonton up towards Grand Prairie, we've seen daytime highs around -10. So not so bad. Actually, right around the seasonal average for this time of year. So that's the situation. And then we've had the fog that's been lingering for the last 3 days. So this is like day 3 of fog that we finally saw the sky clear out here in the south, but left this incredible display of rime frost right on the trees. And it just, it's absolutely stunning. What you see behind me is what we call rime frost on the power pole. Whenever you have freezing fog, those super cool water droplets from the freezing fog, because you have your relative humidity values that are going to be like right up in the 90 to 100% range, that means there's moisture in the atmosphere. And you have all that moisture in the atmosphere with the fog, it collects on things like power lines and trees, and it puts an incredible display of what we call rime frost. It's amazing, isn't it? Weather is amazing. And I expect to see this rime frost again for tomorrow. Now, the difference between rime frost and hoarfrost. Now, hoarfrost collects kind of the same principle, but under clear skies. Rime frost, well, it happens when we have fog. Freezing fog, that is.
Joey, only the Caribou weather dude here. And we have a snow and ice buildup on these power lines, and it's making them dance. If you look over, you can see the shadow over there dancing. And this is how power lines get damaged. In fact, sometimes they come right off and break, and you don't want to be beneath them, taking a leak or anything. That's actually exactly what I'm doing though. Once again, don't be like me. Don't take a leak underneath the power line that might break any minute. And that, my friends, is a dancing power line.
If you ever get to see this, quite a display of rime frost from a freezing fog event that lingers for days on end. And the other good news with that, I guess I have to wear pants now, because now the neighbors can see me out and about. So that's been the situation in southern portions of the province. But we finally dissipated that fog, pushed it out, and now we've got the Chinook Arch off to the west. So that's from that atmospheric river out of British Columbia. So textbook Chinook Arch. And so at this last hour, Brooks was -10. And about 25 kilometers to the southwest, Enchant is 6 degrees. So that warmer air is not so far away from us right now.
And by this hour, Brandon means that we're recording the show on the 12th of January, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you'll be hearing it in Prince George on the 14th and the 16th in Winnipeg. So bear in mind as you're listening to the show, that's some of the timing that you radio listeners might be listening to. Brandon, continue.
All right. So yeah, that is that's the warmer air mass moving in to the province of Alberta from the Pacific. So that's a very nice treatment. Claresholm, Alberta today got to 10 degrees. I think somebody's going to get to 10 again tomorrow and Saturday, which is going to be very nice because it's been, I've seen this. I've been looking at the same snowbank since the beginning of November. So I'm hoping to see some grass.
And I got major news for you. Windows 7 and Windows 8.1 totally no longer supported altogether.
Big problems.
Major
Back on
news.
Tuesday, the last update forever, and last major security update forever, and any security update for forever for Windows 7, Windows 8.1. That was Tuesday, January 10th, 2023, and it's no longer supported.
There you go. So the times, they are a-changing. Brandon, you had any good smoking but good barbecue lately?
Smoking good barbecue?
Smoking good barbecue.
Had it at Hometown Barbecue. That's a good place too. That's Hometown Barbecue. Haven't had to do that ad for a while, so hopefully we'll be able to do that again pretty soon for radio, which is a lot of fun.
That ad went a long way. They got a lot of free play out of that video.
Oh yeah. And especially for the Bandits games, I can play it like 25 times if I wanted to. So,
Smoking good barbecue.
Didn't get in trouble at all. No. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So we have a low pressure system moving in tonight. That's going to produce an area of freezing rain in the Grand Prairie area. And we will continue to see that warm air stick around in next week. We'll have a couple low pressure systems passing through with a chance of snow showers, freezing rain. So we'll keep an eye on that, especially Saturday night to Sunday from Lloydminster down to about Hannah, moving into Saskatchewan for Saturday into Sunday. Might get some freezing rain also into parts of Manitoba as well with these couple of clipper systems that are going to be passing through the eastern prairies. And we'll eventually start seeing some of that milder air work its way into Manitoba for the first part of next week. And it will also watch cold Arctic air mass move in from the north to the south, where Churchill, Manitoba has been quite cold this week. And some of that cold Arctic air will try to descend from the north to the south and may even push into northern Ontario as we go throughout most of next week there. And other than that, no significant systems, exception for British Columbia, where they got these atmospheric rivers. And we're going to be dealing with that significant amount of rain for coastal sections of BC. It's, as I mentioned, 100 to 200 millimeters of rain for parts of Vancouver Island. And those higher elevations in the south coastal mountains there, they could be exceeding over 100 centimeters of snow by next week here. So be prepared. That's really going to up those avalanche risk potential with the warm air at the surface. You get all that snow above, and it's going to cause a lot of trouble next week.
And that's already been through the roof, and conditions have even deteriorated further. If you want to, radio listeners, if you want to see the recording of this show, we broadcast it live on my YouTube channel, Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude. This week, I made a video about avalanches. Of course, we had a police officer down in Caslow get killed while skiing from avalanche. It's very, very, very dangerous. And since yesterday's video that I put out, conditions have actually deteriorated further. Prince George, you got a 30% chance of rain on Saturday, high of 3, low -3 at night. Periods of snow Sunday, 0, -1 at night. Monday, 2 degrees, -7 at night, maybe. Chance of flurries really through the next week. So nothing substantial necessarily that we've been looking at, but nonetheless, the chance of flurries and maybe some freezing rain in places. Winnipeg, I mean, your conditions, besides having a cool night Friday night, you're hovering -2, -3 Saturday, Sunday, maybe down to -5 at night. Not till Monday night when you hit -15, Tuesday, maybe -17 at night. So our CKUW radio listeners, shout out to you, especially people in the meteorology department, because we know that this show is the talk of all you meteorology weather nerds in that school. Hello to you. Hilding, how is the weather in Glassy Plains?
Well, we've been having.
What about Vancouver? We're supposed to get a lot of rain. Vancouver.
Oh, wait. Hilding, quickly, how's Grassy Plains this week?
We've been having a real dead zone for about a week and a half here, where it has hovered around 0, and we've had really heavy rime frost every morning. And no snow, but yet we've been accumulating like 2 to 3 centimeters of frost every day, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon in this area. I've never seen it anywhere else.
So what you have is air that's humid.
Well, we have
hurricane warning, earthquake warning.
Indonesia's getting a major earthquake sometime this year, and by possibility 8.0 magnitude earthquake. A greater magnitude earthquake in Vancouver might even get it anytime soon, or Japan, or even California.
Frankie's making predictions.
People in Vancouver, you can't escape from major earthquakes forever.
Vancouver, you can't escape major earthquakes forever. Brandon Hauk, what say you on the rime frost, hoarfrost topic?
So did you have any fog up there, Hilding, there?
We have fog every morning because we have a ferry crossing a lake here that keeps the lake open.
Okay, yeah. So if you didn't have any fog and you have a frost every morning, it would have been hoarfrost.
It would be hoarfrost. Yes, I used to call it hoarfrost, and I've had to correct it on my weather report because I found out it was rime frost because we have this fog phenomenon every morning.
Just have to highlight Imogen's camera freak out.
Oh,
It's like got all our faces freaking out. Yeah, she finally turned it off. She didn't like that.
there we go. It's
And Imogen,
corrected.
the coast.
Yes.
Our guests tonight are very close to you, so maybe you could give us your take on Victoria's weather before we talk to Mary Bush and Marianne Abs.
Rainy off and on. cloudy, cold, generally like living on a wet sponge, a wet hippie infested sponge. It's everything's damp and wet, moist, unpleasant. I love it. Everyone here is just so sour faced and surly. It's really quite nice.
Imogen Cookie Bailey. That's the quickest Victoria
And if
weather.
you're here about this,
Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning!
the asteroid 1997 XF11 headed towards the Earth on October 26, 2028.
Is it going to hit the Earth, Frankie?
Going to bypass the Earth.
It's going to bypass the.
It's going to cause a lot of earthquakes
How's it going to cause earthquakes?
because of gravitational pull.
Vancouver, you can't escape major earthquakes forever, right, Frankie?
Yeah.
People in Vancouver, you can't escape from major earthquakes forever.
People in
Meteor,
Vancouver.
it's coming. It's going to cause that gravitational shift on the tectonic plates, which will slip and slide around like the greasy little things that they are. And there's going to be just enough slide to cause some land disruption. Vehicles will fall in. Gorillas will go crazy. There's going to be all sorts of kookiness. Tidal waves will happen. It's going to be fantastic.
I wonder how the gravity is going to affect my ego. Murray Bush.
Might bring it back down to earth.
I doubt it. Murray Bush and Marion Abbs. So let's talk to you about intercity bus service in British Columbia and how hard it is right now to get from one part of the province to another if you don't drive an automobile.
It's pretty hard. I just looked at what's going on in Prince George. In Prince George, the bus company, the Adventure Bus Company, just handed over their route to eBus, presumably because they couldn't make a go of it, and they're only going twice a week. So the service is already pretty slow. There's, you may have heard about what's happening on Vancouver Island with the bus that goes from Victoria all the way out to Tofino, the Tofino bus, which gets a lot of tourists in the summer. But at this time of year, it's people that live along the way. There's 50 stops along that route. And there's 28 Indigenous communities along that route that all depend on that bus. And the bus company, which got bailed out 2 years ago to the tune of $2.6 million, also for the Tofino bus, they have mothballed their route until May, when the weather's better, when the tourist season starts. But that's great for the tourists, but not so great for the people that live in that area. So there's a lot of cherry picking going on. I think the problem is the model of smaller private companies operating these bus routes isn't feasible.
And this goes right back to BC Rail too. I mean, if you want to go from Quesnel now to Vancouver on the Rocky Mountain Express, I mean, it's a yuppie trip down the rails. It's not meant for public transportation whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we would have to we would have to all chip in for you to take that run, Joey. I don't think we could all go.
No, and how often does an airplane fly to Prince George to Vancouver? Well, numerous times a day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, buses have existed a long time. I mean, this isn't really rocket science. It seemed to me like Greyhound intentionally let their company run down to the ground before they finally just pulled the plug on it. Like, they just tried to milk it as long as they could, knowing they had no intention of really providing adequate service in Canada.
They also had a terrible reputation for labor relations with their drivers and with their other staff. I remember several pretty gruesome strikes in Vancouver that shut Greyhound down. So, people weren't, I don't think people were sad to see them go, other than that they filled all those routes. But they also cherry picked a lot of them, and they ended up near the end with the best routes, and the routes that they didn't want to do, they just dropped. So that's a problem. Back to the trains, I think the trains are a great idea, and there's a group working out of Victoria, maybe Imogene knows about it, that wants to revive the Esquimalt tracks and use them up and down the island. And we still have tracks all over the province. It's just that we gave them away through that BC rail deal, which was criminal, really.
So obviously the public wants to know about eBus, and I'm not, I don't have any opinion on them. I don't know much about them. I'm not looking for dirt necessarily, although there may be some there. the accidents, obviously the talk of BC. I know from experience that buses just run. The public expects it. The bosses expect it. Buses run through weather that nobody should be driving through. So we had this accident, and so it's really drawn into the limelight, this discussion, although I don't necessarily know how safe or unsafe eBus was really in relation to any other bus company. It was just a matter of time before something like this happened.
Right. Well, there was another bus accident a couple of days before that, also with an e-bus it was an e-bus route that they had sort of subcontracted to another even smaller bus company. I don't know what caused the accident, and there's all kinds of accidents, but I think part of what this points to is when you need profit margins out of your operating costs, then maybe you don't renew your bus as much. Maybe you don't get the latest safety technology. Maybe you don't stop the run on a night when you shouldn't do the run.
Well, Hilding Donaldson made a good point at the beginning of the show, which was that Greyhound ran all heavy buses, and now we have this sort of environmental move towards lighter buses that are cheaper on fuel and cheaper to buy and operate. They don't have that necessarily that classic traction of a heavy duty bus on the highway, right? Marianne Abbs has a point to make.
Yeah, I wanted to say that generally buses are like safer than driving, but if we did have this as a public service, then we could have uniform standards and uniform training. People could get the training that they need, and we could have high public standards. But I wanted to just add too that like this idea just seems like to a lot of people such a no-brainer, but our government is just like not moving on it right now. So one of the things we're planning to do is to try to get people together on like a Zoom cafe night with some musicians and poets and stuff. So we wanted to just do a shout out if you're interested in like bringing a song to like our Zoom cafe night so that we can publicize this campaign or a poem or anything. That would just be in touch with us. And we'd love to include you. And I think Murray had some ideas for bus songs. Maybe you want to say some of those.
I don't want to sing much no more.
Yeah, you had a classic bus song, didn't you, Joey?
I had some really good bus songs. Yes, I certainly did. Wheels on the Greyhound, always turning round and round. Every day a new town, every show a letdown. I turned 29 on a Greyhound bus, driving in the northern night. Anyone on the panel, you got questions? And Murray's got something he wants to say first.
Okay, can we, after the discussion, we do have some song ideas that we'd like to sort of half sing, if that's okay. Should we do that now or should we do that after?
Okay, you are more than welcome to half sing.
Okay, we're going to try here.
On the Comedeorological Radio Report on CFR 88.7 FM, CKUW 95.9 FM. Here's Murray Bush and Marianne Abbs singing about buses.
Okay, so the first one is Bus of the Rising Sun. Is there a bus in New Denver?
Okay.
The next one's
I don't know how good this is going to work.
Hey, I just got here and this is crazy, but there's no buses. Next Tuesday, maybe. Okay. We'll skip to the Tofino bus, which is sitting at the stop on the bay, waiting for Tofino bus to come back in May. One for the winter bus drivers. Hey, bus drivers, slow down a little bit, slow down a little bit, slow down. The fares on the bus go up and up.
Hurricane warning, earthquake warning.
And once this spring comes up, Chris Chittick for the El Nino Storm Hunter Sky. He'll be chasing tornadoes again. Once again in spring, Aaron J. Jack will be really busy again. Once again, a few months later, Aaron J. Jack will be chasing tornadoes again. Chris Chittick will be chasing tornadoes again in the spring in large hail and severe weather.
Anyone got conversation about the bus topic that we're talking about?
Each bus has their own bus routes in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Canada. Route 1 is Sydney Glace Bay bus. Route 3 is New Aberdeen bus in Glace Bay. Route 4 is Seals Hill bus. Route 5 is Sydney North Sydney Mines. Route 7 is Shopping Malls. Route 8 is Whitney Pier bus. Route 9 Sydney to Waterford. Route 10 is Alexander Street. Route 11 is Ashford bus. Route 12 is Sydney River bus. Route 13 is George Street bus in Sydney. Route 14 is Seaview Express bus. And Route 15 is Sunday Service bus.
The buses of Sydney, Nova Scotia. Frankie McDonald, everybody.
And the Route 7 is Shopping Malls bus.
That's the bus you take to get to the shopping mall?
That means Route 1, Glace Bay bus to get to Shopping Mall.
I wish I had a memory like that, Frankie.
That means that when people get on the one bus, they have to go to the point to get a transfer to another bus to get to the mall. You have to ask the driver for a transfer.
So I did want to say something more about the buses, and that's the reason this group started. Basically, was we kept looking at bus service.
When they go from one route to another route, they have to ask the driver for a transfer. They have to get a piece of paper. Yeah, once they get off the bus, they have to show the driver for the piece of paper from another bus to get somewhere.
We kept looking at the transit services that are available in big cities like Victoria and Vancouver, and even Kelowna and Kamloops to some degree. The urban, all our focus so historically has been on developing public transit for cities, but everybody in rural areas and more remote communities doesn't have the same availability. Obviously, a bus isn't going to run every 20 minutes from outside 100 Mile. We need some transit, and transit is now seen as a right. It's a right for students who need it to get to and from school. It's a right for seniors who need to get to medical appointments. It's a right for people looking for work or people going to work. It's a right for kids. It's a right for families who are going to look after other family members for whatever reason. So once you recognize it as a right, then you have to provide the service.
Down in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Route 13 takes you up to the regional hospital from Sydney, Nova Scotia. The Route 13 is George Street Hospital bus in Sydney.
Now, don't get on that bus anytime soon, Frankie. Hilding?
What about the idea of having a bus service that goes once a week in some really remote areas?
That means the George Street bus also takes us to Joni's Pizza in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and they take it to somewhere in Cottage Road and up by the Canberra Street and things like this. And the Alexander Street bus take you all the way up to Alexander Street in areas like the Boulderwood neighborhood.
Yeah, we could get on that bus once a week and go see Joe Stover in Churchill, Manitoba. Too bad he's not with us this week.
On Route 5 takes you from Sydney to North Sydney Mall. And Route 1 takes you to Mayfire Mall and Savoy Theatre over in Glace Bay.
I didn't hear about that, Frankie.
Route 5 from Sydney Mall bus take you to Cape Breton Shopping Plaza and Sydney River. And if you go further than that, they take you all the way to North Sydney Mall.
That's where the mall is. This one time I was on the Greyhound bus coming across Canada, and somewhere in Toronto, this sketchy guy got on the bus, and he was like, you know how 20 plus years ago there was these guys they called B-boys, and they wore these pants, they called them exhaust pants, and sometimes they'd have their hats on like sideways, and they'd kind of like strut around like thinking they're rappers or something. And this guy got on, and he was just weird the whole time. And as you're going across Canada, you keep thinking like, when's dude going to get off the bus? And he's not getting off the bus, and he continues to be weird. And then somewhere in Northern Ontario, he's like, hey, I got some weed, man. Like I can smoke a joint, and of course, everyone who's sitting sort of back where he is, be like kind of sketched out. Like, I don't know if I really want this smoke weed with this guy, heat score at the bus station, but okay, you go roll it there, dude. And he goes in the can back there, and then he comes out a little while later and he informs us that he dropped the bag down the toilet, but the weed stayed dry inside. He managed to get it out and still roll a joint. And we're all like, dude, no.
That means they have to get the plumber and the police involved.
And then so what happened was, then we get to Calgary and he's still on the bus, and he hasn't hardly slept for 4 days, and he's just sketched and weird and not a guy that I really wanted to be around. And somewhere by Cochrane, Alberta, he starts freaking out, and he's like, and he's swearing really loud. And because we're on radio, I can't repeat what he said, but my wallet, and I left my wallet at the station, and with all kinds of manners of expletives between each time that he said, every third word or so, my effing wallet, this, blah, blah, blah. And there's the bus driver, and the bus is right full at this point, like, almost standing room only. And the bus driver comes on, he's like, please, you have to stop swearing and calm down. And but the guy's like yelling back, but I lost my effing wallet. And he's just like freaking out. And I guess he left his wallet at the Calgary Greyhound terminal somehow. And the bus driver is getting more, and the exchange goes on. Guy doesn't calm down. Long story short, the RCMP are waiting for him at Banff. Long story short, there was a Canada-wide warrant for said guy.
What happens if he flew the plane to Grozny, Russia? What does that mean?
I don't know if they would have let him on a plane to Grozny, Russia, because there was a Canada-wide warrant, and he did pretty good to get almost all the way across the country before just heat-scoring himself into jail.
What happens if it's upgraded to Canada, US, Russia warrant? What does that mean?
I don't know. I guess there'll be no bus service between America and Russia anymore.
Worldwide
Only
warrant,
once a week.
One half of the world is interested in the species and climate. Other half of the world is more interested in the World War III.
Worldwide warning. What does that mean?
Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning!
Worldwide warning? Well, it doesn't mean much to me because up here in the mountains, nothing's really changed. But
worldwide warning means somebody's in trouble all over the world because it got on a plane to Russia.
What I miss? Hold on.
Yeah, that was over my head, Frank.
This was about bus service and then a worldwide warning and something about Russia. There are a few pieces of this puzzle that are just not there. What's going on?
We're jumping around. We're having fun.
War's going on in Russia still.
Okay, that is fun. See? Joey was right. We are having fun. Thank you.
They have to get the Interpol. That's the international police.
I just wanted to answer Hilding's question about a remote community that would only get a bus once a week. I think that's fine. I mean, I don't think anybody expects the same level of service that you would get if you were living in downtown Vancouver. That would be a community that now gets no bus. So, to get a once a week bus would be a big improvement, I would think.
Well, we have that out here in Wells. A bus comes from Quesnel once a week, and it gets to Wells at something like 6:45 in the morning. So I've never taken it. It gets back here about 4 p.m. And I don't want to walk around Quesnel for 6 hours, so I've never taken it. But people do, and it's important.
Marianne, you have some stories about your parents, right?
Yeah, and I guess I just wanted to say also, like, part of the reason to have like one system and not like all this kind of patchwork of multiple contractors and companies is so that it can all work together. Like, because there's so many of these little companies in BC where, like, if you want to actually go and transfer to another place, you might actually have to stay overnight for like 1 night or 2 nights or 3 nights, which is really expensive, before you can get the bus to the next community. So because a lot of the bus routes in BC only run like 2 or 3 times a week, like transferring and then getting onto your next route can take a really long time. So I just wanted to mention that. And I probably got involved in this because my parents live in a 100-mile house, and I'm like, I literally sometimes drive from the coast to 100 miles so I can drive them to their medical appointments in Kamloops, because there's often like no option to get there. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that I'm like involved in this.
That's a lot of driving, actually. And
Yeah.
that also
down in Grozny, Russia, it's really, really cold there right now.
And Brandon Hauk, you got something to say? We got Pete showing up, and we got to talk to him in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I got
we
a good
do.
bus story here from, I'd say it's about 10 years ago. This was Greyhound. And I booked my ticket to go on the Greyhound the next day. I get to the Greyhound, I get on the bus, and there's a problem. The bus is full. So what they had to do, instead of me having to wait for the next bus, which wouldn't arrive until the next day, they booked me a taxi to go from Banff to Brooks. So I got a nice taxi ride. and they didn't
That
have to
is
pay
a-
for it.
That is a long taxi ride for sure. Pete Galenko is just showing up that he's down there in Boulder, Colorado. He's driving for Lyft. He's driving around right now. He just took his last 1 second, Pete. Just took his last customer out past Gun Club Road towards Space Force Base. And just past the Space Force Base is where the Gaylord Rocky Inn is, right, Pete?
That's right. That's right. That was the other day. I just dropped off a passenger over near East Jewel just now. Some of the roads here still got snow impressively. This is still from the end of the December storm.
Space Force Base.
Yeah, Space Force Base. Yes.
Can you talk to us about the Space Force Base? So everybody, if you watch the live stream of the show, after we stopped recording the radio segment last week, and Pete told us about driving past Gun Club Road, where the Space Force Base is, the friggin' Space Force Base, and that's where the Gaylord Rocky Resort is.
Yeah, the Space Force Base is not far from the Gaylord Rocky Resort, which is, I did a drop off over there after the airport the other day. There's a lot of stuff in Colorado, surprisingly.
We still can't believe
anyway,
you have a Space Force Base.
A Space Force Base, yes, it is a Space Force Base, and I didn't even realize the Space Force Base was there at first, though it is pretty interesting. They have these, I'm not sure exactly what they are. It's some sort of weather stations that look like large orbs, like giant balls. Like
There's giant balls. Space Force Base.
Yeah,
Space
I took
Force
pictures.
Base has giant balls.
They do. It's there for some meteorological purposes.
Sounds like a Doppler radar, but
they have a bunch of
balls.
Space balls. Yeah, space balls. They might as well have space balls at the Space Force Base. And they have a lot of security there. I went and checked it out. And a lot of cars going in, going out. And yeah, there's a lot of aviation. And then I just I did a drop off the other day at Key Lime Air and near Mayo Air also, which is where all the private jets are, which was pretty cool. I dropped somebody from FedEx off over there. There's like a separate area away from over towards the Space Force Base. It's closer to there where there's the private jets, and I looked into it. They do a lot of like the celebrity flights and that sort of thing, the athletes and stuff interested.
Celebrity Space Force flights. Imogen.
So, okay, Space Force Base, giant floating orbs. You're in Colorado. Everyone's baked all the time. It's Colorado. That's what y'all do. So, do tourists have a lot of alien sightings? Is this a common thing in that area? You've got the elements.
Not that I heard. I had a passenger the other day commenting about what they believe to be an alien sighting in Las Vegas, where they had some like red looking orbs over the sky there. I looked up the video online. It almost looked more like odd smoky clouds. I don't know. So I haven't had any sightings myself since I've been here.
Well, if you're a freaking alien, the first thing you're going to do if you come to Earth is avoid the Space Force Base, because that sounds like the most hostile place probably there is.
That's the place where they would capture them or something.
Yeah, you know, like let's not go to Area 51. Let's not go to the Space Force Base. Let's go to somewhere where they're just going to probably not even acknowledge it. We'll go to Canada, because
I've seen a lot of UFO sightings up in the Peace River country.
That's awesome. I would like to mention something about Pete's alien sighting in Vegas. I was in Vegas a few years ago, and I got a rather serious warning. Now, first of all, in hotels, they block the local TV station so that tourists don't see the local news. It's apparently quite violent. A lot of crazy stuff happens. It's on local news. They don't want tourists seeing that and being scared off. Stay in the tourist areas, you'll be fine. But the warning that I got was a security guard at the place where I was staying had said, if you're planning on partying, it's Vegas, I'm there for work, but he doesn't, that whole Vegas as a party destination is kind of legendary. Says, if you're planning on partying, don't do street drugs. Okay. And don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. But he says, he says, don't do street drugs because it's basically like a sport almost to drug tourists with stuff they're not aware of.
Don't take random drugs in Vegas. It's not worth the bet.
Yeah. So
my internet connection just went out, that I just rejoined to hearing Imogen say, make sure you trust your drug dealer.
Well, we do that in Canada. That's what we do. But the point I'm making is that Pete's guy with the alien sighting, he might have been a little under the influence of something he wasn't aware of. He's in Vegas as a tourist. It might have been someone's idea of a joke to put a little something extra in whatever he's drinking.
Oh, he wasn't in Vegas. He was just talking about a video he saw on the internet.
That's
different.
This is really hot radio we got going on here now.
Getting off of work.
So one time I was hanging out with some aliens and we had a human sighting. Pete, what do you suppose they do at the Space Force base? What do you suppose Space Force base does?
Send signals out into outer space to see if the aliens and other planets respond.
You think that's really what they're doing? We've already got SETI doing that. The search for
or they're sending signals to satellites to mind control.
It must be about mind control. How's your mind doing? Have you been doing anything that's not normal lately, Pete?
I've not been doing anything that's not normal.
Anybody? Is there any vehicles parked behind you, Pete? We're talking about Space Force Base. Can you look in your check over your shoulder there?
There's no vehicles parked behind me now.
No, okay.
No.
Did you hear police up in Norway? They got a doomsday seed fault up in Selfenbar, Norway. They got a doomsday seed fault to store all the seeds.
Oh yeah, the doomsday seed vault. Yeah, of course. That's
all the heirloom seeds. Yeah.
It's crazy. We have to make plans for what might happen if humans kill every human on Earth, except for, a few in Norway that could get to the seeds. It's too bad you didn't store them in a place where things actually grow.
Where do you think is the most likely place for people to exist in an apocalypse?
Oh, wells, of course.
There's some abandoned also, and some of them are open to the public. I want to go to one of those one time. Maybe we could I could go to there. It's a bit out the way, like 2 hours from where I live, but I was looking at one of them and I was thinking I could record from there one time.
Please go to all Space Force events, Pete. We require that very much. Pete Galenko reporting in Boulder, Colorado on Space Force down by Gun Club Road.
And I drove someone earlier, not today, but earlier this week, that from the airport, I drove a pilot and I drove a lady here for a meteorological conference in Denver, annual American Meteorological conference that's held in Denver.
Brandon Hope knows about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. She was talking to the pilot. The pilot was talking about how things have changed in regards to their communications with the people on the ground that do the weather reports. Sort of like, I think Joe Stover does some of that stuff with pilots and that sort of thing.
I think Brandon's dad is at that conference. Am I not correct, Brandon?
He's at a different one. He's at the Sportsman kind of fishing and game thing, but they're all in the same building. That was funny. So he's like, there's all these weather folks all around here, and then hunting and fishing people in the same building.
What do you suppose Space Force does?
Space. It means the International Space Station. The astronauts do work up in the International Space Station wearing the spacesuits.
Well, that's NASA, but what does the Space Force do?
Don't know.
No one knows. What's a Space Force for? It's ridiculous that you have a Space Force base, Pete. Anyways, we're getting near the end of the show this week.
No, it's America.
You've been hearing us.
Of course, we got a Space Force base.
Well, I guess everything.
Space Force base.
Everything
it's just fun to say.
America.
Space Force base.
We are running out of time, and this has been the Comedeorological Report. You're hearing us on C for 88.7 FM and CKUW 95.9 FM. I'm Joey Only, your host every week. This week, we've had quite a cast on, and it's been really awesome. Of course, we had Frankie McDonald, as per usual. Well, we've got Brandon Houck over there in Brooks, Alberta, and our special guests this week were Murray Bush and Marianne Abbs talking about intercity, expanding BC Transit. Really good conversation there. And of course, Image and Cookie Bailey, who we always have, and Hilding Donaldson and Pete Galenko just joining us from Boulder, Colorado. Frankie McDonald, any last words for the show this week?
If you want to follow my social media, my Twitter is at Frankie McD. My Facebook is Frankie McDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD984. My Twitter is at Frankie MacD. And my TikTok is FrankDown984. My Clapper is FrankDown984. My Twitch is FrankDown984. My Snapchat is Frankie MacDon. And my link is Frankie McDonald. And my YouTube channel, Stocks Wolves. I got news for you. Base Guy's editing so many videos so far because he's really busy editing a lot of videos. He takes videos of trains and things like this now.
Right on. Base Guy's taking videos of trains down there in Montreal, Quebec. Patrick Mack is helping out Base Guy. If you want to watch the video version of this show, you can find it on Joey Only, Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. That's my channel, where we also live stream the show every week. And we got a couple seconds left, couple minutes. Last word goes to a special guest this week, Murray Bush and Marianne Abbs.
Thanks for having us. That was great. I just wanted to say that any listeners who are interested in this issue can visit our website at bcwidebus.com.
And just to add, you can also drop us a line at publictransitbcwide@gmail.com.
Hey, Frankie, what do you think? Do we invite them back for more shows?
Yes.
So if Russia, North Korea, China, other nations get rockets in orbit or have satellites with nuclear capabilities, who knows? Might be a good idea to have a space force.
What I would suggest as a good idea is getting yourself as far away as possible from the Space Force base, if that's the case.
What?
Dude, you're going to get us some
sometime.
footage from the nuclear. You're going to get us some footage from Space Force base, and you're going to get us some footage from nuclears. Coming in weeks to come on the Comedeorological Report for
Next
2023. Pete's going to the Space Force base, and he's going to get footage of nuclear silos. I'm telling you, that's the last place on Earth I want to be when the nukes start flying. I want to be probably as far north as friggin' possible, man. That's the way she goes. That's where freedom lies, in the north, man. We got 1 minute left. Who's got a last
word? Are you aligned
word?
with Russia and China already?
Nah, we're far north. Nothing's happening in Wells. Any last words?
I'm trying to go south of Mexico. All right, sorry.
And I will say, best of luck here. I'm Frankie McDonald. You're listening to Comedian Rocky Report on every Thursday night with Joey Only.
All right, now you've been listening to Frankie McDonald and the Comedeorological Panel. This is the Comedy Meteorology Report, your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. I've been your host, Joey Only. Thanks, everyone, for coming along once again this week. And all you meteorology students, what do you think, Brandon? We got a special word for the meteorology students at CKUW?
Oh, absolutely. Especially knowing the difference between rhyme frost and hoarfrost. There you go.
Yes. Anything that rhymes with hoarfrost. And that's this week's show, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hurricane warning, earthquake warning.